Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 42nd edition of the What a Load of Bowls podcast, brought to you by the Bowls Academy. Next little bit of time, taking you through everything bowls. You've got the pleasure of joining myself, DJ Dilworth, or my co-host.
That would be me, Simon Little.
How you going, Simon?
I am good, DJ. How's your week been? What have you been up to?
Yeah, next question. Anyway, night shift for you, mate. How you doing?
Currently doing night shifts. It's a bit surreal. Trying to sleep during the day, it's really hard. And I was thinking, I've got a few night shifts coming up. Might get down to the green and get a bit of roll up done before Platinum Pennants starts. Not a chance.
Doesn't quite work that way.
Doesn't quite work that way. You think you're going to have more time because you're working night shift and you have a bit of time during the day, but it's complete opposite. So yeah, it's a bit brutal at the moment, trying to sleep during the day, but here we are. It's fine podcast. We record at night, so all good, ready to roll.
Yeah, so you're sitting there eating your cornflakes at the minute. Well, yeah. Well, I'm sitting here eating the steak. I wish. But anyway, yeah, I don't envy anyone that does a night shift. I had one bit of experience with it for a couple of months when I worked in the post office back at home doing night shift. I thought it was brutal. But yeah, those ones that do all the mines and stuff like that there of night shift, well done to you. It's definitely not for me. Mate, big news. The merch has dropped. Your first merch dropped. What have we got? Bowls cloths.
We've got bowls cloths to, send out. We're offering free delivery. So jump on the bowlsacademy.com. Bowls cloths. They're brilliant. The logo and your little spiel on the back, DJ. Keep that to the inside.
That trademark written on the back of there, mate.
It should have put DJ underneath it.
Well, I just thought before you released them, we might have had a bit of a contractual negotiation as to how much of that cloth I get. But, mate, anything to help you out on your search to be a millionaire through bowls, you'll be the first ever. But, mate, like I said, night shift, you're getting ready to work, so we will crack on with a few things that have happened in the last couple of weeks. So we said last time round, Queensland Premier League, it's wrapped up. So it is. Did you catch any of it, mate? Or
I seen a little bit of the results, the finals sort of series. Didn't see any of the games on the lead up to it, but obviously there was a lot happening on social media. It was anytime I jumped on Facebook, that's what was on my feed. So obviously a lot of communication out there and a lot of promotion of lawn bowls happening in Queensland. So really, really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So, top 5 made it through to the finals. Anyone that's listening from overseas, maybe not familiar with the format of how we do it over here in Australia too. Top 5 means 4th and 5th place, you're straight into the knockouts. You're sudden death. If you lose, you're gone. 2nd and 3rd, you get a second bite of the cherry. And number 1, you get a week off. Well, not a week off in this case because they played the whole weekend, but you get a round off while everyone else battles it out with each other. So the latter finished, Burleigh Heads Minor Premiers. They got that break. And then we have Pine Rivers in 2nd against Alcester. So they had a playoff there with the winner advancing to play Burleigh. The loser then plays the winner of 4th place and 5th place, which was Capalaba and Musgrave Hill. So Musgrave Hill got through, same amount of points as Paradise Point, but by half a point on rinks. So someone's drawn somewhere, and was enough to get them into the finals. Big mention to our friends there at Tweed Head, mate. We had a bit of a laugh and a joke about their wins, losses, and draws, and they nearly did it. They had 4 wins, 4 losses, 3 draws.
Oh,
so they have
full house.
Interesting thing, but they had more rink wins than anybody else in the competition with 23, including minor premiers Burleigh, who had 21 rink wins.
What? That
just makes that 2-point rule very interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, so if you go off, like, for instance, what we do in New South Wales, where you get the overall and the rink points, they would probably finish a lot higher than what they did.
It'll be interesting to see. We might have to sit and do that, man. I might get my Excel spreadsheet prowess going and show you what the table could have looked like if it was a New South Wales competition, the way we play with our 10 points. But yeah, very interesting, mate, there. Just to mention to Tweed Head and Broadbeach, 5 wins, 5 losses, and a draw. Broadbeach, obviously, were trying to go, I think they were maybe going to go for 3 in a row there, but actually missed out on the playoffs. So unfortunate for them. But yep, those were the 5 that made it through. Burleigh Heads, Pine Rivers, Alcester, Capalaba, and Musgrave Hill. So in the elimination, like we said, Musgrave against Capalaba. Musgrave came out on top there, 66-42. And in the other game, so this next one, the loser then plays the winner of that game. and the winner goes through to play Burley Heads, and the loser of that gets another bite of the cherry too. So how it worked in Pine River's 52 shots, Alcester 54 shots.
Ooh.
So all the two, which means then, like we said, Pine Rivers now become sudden death, knockout. Alcester get another bite of the cherry after they play Burley Heads. So Pine Rivers against Musgrave Hill, semi-final one, which is the elimination one. Pine Rivers came out on top there 60-39.
Yeah.
And in the qualifying final to make it to the grand final, Burley Heads minor premier 62-51 over Alcester.
Yep.
So that goes to the preliminary final, which was a repeat of Alcester against Pine Rivers. Same result, 57-51 in Alcester's favour, which sets up the grand final then of Burley Heads versus Alcester, and it was a one-sided contest by the looks of it, 67-31. So well done. We'll have a quick look, mate, at the rink draw for the final. So who do we have? We had our friend Dale McGuinney Shillington, who can't work a microphone, up against Glenn Pitts. Dale got a 22-5 win there. Matthew Perm Peterson against Jack McShane, 20-11. Perm showing the young fella how it's done. And then in the final one, then it was Fergo against Tyson Wilson, with Fergo coming up 25-15 win there. So all rinks up in the final to win by a total of 36 shots. So well done to Burley Heads.
Yep.
Did you have a chat with Dale, mate, after all that there? How was the celebrations going? Did you get speaking with him?
Did see a couple of text messages come through to us, DJ, from young Death Dale. And those, I'm sure there's plenty of celebrations going on up there with them winning that. And yeah, some of the photos I seen was quite comical.
Yeah, well, I happened to message him and say, how's the headache this morning on Monday morning, to which he replied, you don't have a headache if you don't stop, and sent us a photograph of him with another schooner.
He did, yeah.
So, it looked like he had a good night. So, yeah, well done. He was pretty keen. I know no one else could hear what we were talking about in that episode, but I was talking to him. He was pretty keen to do the job. So, well done to, obviously the Burley Heads Water Dragons. And to Queensland Premier League too, the guys that all run that up there, so they've done a great job. It just shows what the clubs can do when they get together and run a competition. So and also the final chance for them to play with all the elite players, because Platinum Pennant next year will be running at the same time and taking all the good players out of it. So minor controversy. Start the pot, man. Why not? Staying in Queensland for a bit, man, I did say that the nominations are open for the Queensland State Championships. We've touched on this a bit before. I just find it interesting. So it is central nominations, but it's played over a 2-week period. So there's no qualifying to get in. You just enter, almost like an Aussie Open type thing. So you just enter and you go and play. I know those that are up there sort of like it, because they know right out 2 weeks, going to take it off work, I'm going to go.
Bang, done, yeah.
I'm not a fan, whether it's just because it's not what we're used to from growing up back home in Northern Ireland, but also sort of what we play in New South Wales too, which I think, I've said before, needs a bit of a shake-up. But I'd love to see, I'll have a look when the entries come out, man. I'd love to see how many players' entries are coming from far and wide. Like, I'm not too sure any from far North Queensland are coming down. I mean, one of the biggest criticisms Bowls New South Wales always gets is, well, Sydney mainly, that they only focus on Sydney, but I don't know if you've heard, apparently Bowls New South Wales stands for Bowls, Newcastle, Sydney, and Wollongong. Have you heard that one? You haven't heard that one?
I have not heard that one.
Apparently that's the only 3 areas that they're actually worried about. But if you look, it'd be interesting to see, because obviously that's all sort of held around the Gold Coast more often than not. It's the home of Bowls at the minute, especially in Australia.
Yeah.
But obviously you're going to get the Pine Rivers crew and all that there coming down from Brisbane. It's only an hour down the road, but are you getting Mackay coming down? Like, where's the talent up there? Are you sort of limiting that this is the only area that's played? Whereas at least in New South Wales and Victoria with the qualifiers, you get them from all over the place. So that'd be my only criticism of it. And I would anticipate that their entries are a lot lower than what the other states are too, for that particular reason. And then I suppose proximity. It's only a month or so, month and a half away from the Aussie Open.
Yeah.
So people are going to take all that time off work, and then the Aussie Open's got a lot of lead-up events. I know Broadbeach hold a couple of like a pairs and a fours. I think Tweed Head have got something coming up as well. So I just question whether it's the best way to go. But like I said, man, it's what they're used to up there. If they think it's successful, you do what you got to do. It's just my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I'm not a fan really of that kind of the way they do it there, but I do kind of like the central thing that it's run by Bowls Queensland. I like that part of it.
Yeah. Well, we said that before.
Yeah, as you say, it's kind of nearly restrictive to, that kind of region and those players within that region that are going to play. does maybe a mixture of the way we do it in New South Wales and the way they do it up in Queensland. There's maybe a happy medium somewhere. Like, is it run by your state and then it's still regionally played first? Regional qualifiers. So you go through your region and win your region, and then those winners come through to a week of finals, something like that. And then does that help more people play in those competitions because they don't have to take 2 weeks off work, or they can still play at the weekends and play in their regional championships. And if you get knocked out in the first round, you're done. So I think there's maybe some merit to that in the way we run it here. But as you say, that's the way we've been used to playing it back home in Ireland, and also over here in New South Wales. So we would sort of be biased towards that, having not done the other way. But yeah, look, it's something that that states have to look at and see what's best for the sport. Like, what's not, just because you've done it one way doesn't mean that it's right. Yeah, I think that's the mindset that we need to have. What's best for the sport and getting more people to play.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah, definitely. I'm staunch on what I said on the podcast last year, which was central entry in New South Wales and area qualifiers, not necessarily regional qualifiers. You don't need a regional champion to go through. Like I said, and mostly because I know people say focusing on the elite, but if we're live streaming these events, we want the best players playing.
Yeah.
So when you go down to a certain region and you've got all the Jackaroos playing out of that region, but only one of them can come through, I'd much rather see them playing each other in the semi-finals and final if we got there. So that's why I think regional qualifiers, the amount of entries determines how many qualifies from that area. If it's 4, 5, 2, 1, whatever it is. But yeah, that's the way I'd like to see it go here anyway. But speaking of which, we are getting into New South Wales State Championships, mate. They have started. And it is a big event now. It's turned into massive since the amalgamation, but also bringing in the All Abilities Championships as well, which are kicking off first. So we got All Abilities open pairs and singles. That's going to flow then on into the mixed pairs, which is flowing on into the triples, which flows into the pairs, which flows into the singles, which flows into the fours. But when you get to the fours is the massive one, mate. It's the only one people are interested in, to be honest. But when you get to those pairs, the triples, the singles, and the fours, you have got men's and women's open pairs.
Yep.
Okay. You've got senior pairs, men's and women. And then you've got the open reserves.
Yeah.
So you got 5 competitions for each discipline, 5 state titles for each discipline.
And I think if you're from overseas and you don't play in Bulls New South Wales, say you're from WA, South Australia, that might be totally
overseas and then quoted 2 states from Australia.
No. I said if you're from overseas or from within Australia, that not within New South Wales. Like that could be totally foreign. Like, you think back to where we played kind of our championships in Ireland. If it was just one championship and that was it, if we had all those disciplines, man, that would have been chaos.
What was it we said last year? Something like we could have 6 state singles champions, or more than it'd be more than that, because you got everything. Oh, we're not going to get into that now. But it is what it is, and mate, that's everyone's converging on Ballina and up that way. Ballina, Lennox Head, and Alstonville, I believe, are the 3 clubs that are going to host it all, with Cherry Street Sports being the main host. I seen a nice snippet video there from Terry Sheehan. Just a bit of a promotion video and just saying about how much it's the most money that's ever been tipped into these championships to actually host it up in that area. So good luck. I mean, I'm pretty keen to get up there. Hopefully he improves the weather and what it is from what I watched on the live stream today for the All Abilities. Like, it was very windy and cold and rainy by the looks of it, so hopefully that improves. Not that it makes very much of a difference, because my ability's got to improve first. But yeah, man, looking forward to getting up there in a couple of weeks, playing the fours with Dylan, Brody, and Mick. And we'll see how we go. You going up?
No.
No, you're not got time off to go up and watch, no?
No. I'm not
commentating or nothing, no?
Ballina to watch you, mate.
It's just to watch me. You might go up and support some of your other club mates. Well, yeah, so New South Wales State Championships, folks, we'll touch base on those in a couple of weeks' time and give you some results on who some of the new or returning or state champions are anyway, and we'll go from there. Sticking with New South Wales, mate, and finally, Platinum Pennants starting to ramp up. We had the draw last time around.
Yep.
Now we're getting the team announcements. The draw's out. Yep, the draw's out. And now we've got the team announcements. So we all see what the squads are like.
All being drip fed to us. So, yeah. starting to build. We're starting to build. I'm anticipating. I'm looking forward to the first game.
Getting excited, man.
Getting excited. We've only got a couple of weeks away from it, so yeah, that's, obviously I was thinking about rolling up this week, and yeah, I was getting keen to play and back into the team events. Like, it's been a while since we've played a full 12 team event, really. We're our first game at East Midland away, so that'll be interesting game. What do you reckon, DJ? You've seen the team list; they've been posted on Facebook. What's your hot tips for, who's your dark horse? You've seen all the players. What do you think?
I've been having a good look, mate. I got a couple of predictions that'll come on for you. It's good to see a lot of the teams seem to have stuck pretty firm. There's a few changes here or there. Notice that the minor premiers are sticking with their selection policy of keeping everything in-house and not having any fly-ins. The only club not to have any fly-ins. Cabramatta Bowling Club. Obviously, like I said, recruiting from within. So they are. I had a look. I think there's a bit of, I'm going to controversially say, I think there's a bit of a gap in the competition. There's 12 teams in there, which I think is a decent number for the competition and gives you 11 rounds in your finals. There is not 12 teams in that competition that can win it.
I'd agree with you 100%.
There's not, so you've got, I wouldn't even say it's dead set in the middle, like 6 and 6. It might extend down to be like a top 7 and a bottom 5, I think, but there's definitely a bit of a gap there, I think, with some of the teams, personally. So,
what do you think he's making that comment? Where do you think that the teams that are on that bottom half or bottom third of where you think they'll end up, where do you think they fall short? Back end quality? Is it front ends? Is it just the overall quality of teams? Well, we're not talking about any team in specifically here, but
it's just the overall quality of some of the bigger teams.
Okay.
Definitely, like, you look at some of them, just think, yeah, it's definitely like, oh, that's a good player there. But then you go up 3 or 4 teams, and like, oh, there's gun players in each team. But some of those gun players wouldn't make the 12 in some of the other teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
I get you. Yeah.
Some of the best players from some of the lower clubs aren't going to make the 12, and some of the best. I didn't say any clubs, you did.
Well, they're the reigning champions, so
yeah,
that's why.
Yeah. So, man, a couple of predictions. All right. Do you want me to easy and gently, or I'll go bold straight up? I'm gonna go bold straight up.
And we haven't discussed this.
St. John's Park don't make the finals. Ooh, sorry, mate. I've just done a team talk for you. I've looked at the squads.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they won't, but that's my bold prediction. St. John's Park. I'm gonna get a phone call.
Straight away. As soon as you said that, I'm going, Anthony's going to be straight on to you.
Right? St. John's Park don't make the top 5.
Okay.
Bottom place, wooden spoon.
Oh, yes.
Well, you're not going to be brave enough to call it, are you? Do you want to call it?
No.
You're playing the competition. I'm not. Like I said, I'm about to do some team talks here for you.
Yeah.
So I've upset St. John's.
Yeah.
Carlingford, bottom.
Righto.
Carlingford, bottom. There's not much between them and a couple of others, but I think Carlingford, if I'm making calls now for a bit of content and to get people talking and listening, Simon, Carlingford are going to get your wooden spoon.
Well, they finished second bottom last year.
Yeah, well, they're
correct. Yeah,
they're going to go one worse, I think, personally. Minor premiers.
Yeah.
Man, I've tossed around with this. Tossed around with this, but I've gone back to the draw and I've looked at it. I think the draw still favours them, and they're hosting the finals and they're defending champions. I think Carver's going to win minor premiers and major premiers again.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going, well, it wasn't that easy last year. We really took them all the way.
Yeah.
My top 5. I'm settled on 4. I'm not settled on the 5th one, other than it's not St. John's. Cabra, Marylands, to have a big jump. I think they well underachieved last year.
Yeah, for the squad they've got, yeah.
I think they well underachieved. And I looked at that squad the other day, and I looked at some of their selections for trials. I think they're up for it. The only thing, I had them as minor premiers for about 10 minutes earlier until I looked at a couple of other draws. Mate, they do have a decent draw. They've got 5 out of the first 6 games are at home.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think they've got 6 away games. So they've got the 5 and 6 split, 5 at home, 6 away. But their away games are Carlingford, who, like I said, I'm backing for the wooden spoon. Tarn Point. I think they've just got the edge on you, Simon. Alrighty. Belarus, who, like you said, didn't they come bottom last year?
Yep.
Yeah. Then you got Mount Lewis, Warilla, and Cabra are their away games. And the last two, that's rounds 10, they're at Warilla on the carpet. And round 11, they're at Cabramatta on the carpet. And then they're in the final series. So the only thing that helps them with, you're going to be playing on carpet leading into the finals, which is going to get them really going.
Yeah.
So they're I think calling them a Smokies have been unfair. Like, you look at the squad, but I think they're definitely, they're up there, and I've got them finishing second on the ladder. Third, Raymond Terrace.
Yeah.
Mate, they've recruited Colin Litvin, and I think he's a phenom. Like, he's just, as a skipper with 2 bowls, there's not many better in the country than him, and I think that is a massive recruit for them on top of what they've already got.
Yeah.
Peter Taylor coming back as well. I mean, I think that's a massive coup for them.
Yep.
That's your top 3. And then I think Warilla have got weaker. They look like solid outfit. But I think it's not even just about what Jeremy does bowling-wise, but what the presence Jeremy brings as well.
Yep.
I think that'll be lacking a bit. I know Gary brings a lot of atmosphere.
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot of atmosphere, but that atmosphere will upset people more and maybe fire people up more than what Jeremy's atmosphere would, in all honesty. I'm going to get a phone call with that now too. And that's my top 4. And me, I'm going to give 5th spot to Mount Lewis.
Okay, yep.
But I just feel, looking at the squad, could be a bit, I'm going to get in trouble again. It could be a bit temperamental. Like, I think if things start to go bad for them, it could go very bad for them.
Yeah.
But if they're riding the crest of a wave, like, they're going to be hard to stop. So that'll be my 5.
Okay. That's your 5. And
that'll be my 5.
No.
So what do you want to do? Are you willing to make any predictions
there? No. Thanks for backing us.
No.
Okay.
I've got you on that little verge of the gap between the top and the bottom.
6.
Yeah.
Maybe not even 6. This is the way you're talking. Come on, give me a team talk. Come on. Put us 8, and then that's their team talk for the first game.
It's not, yeah, well, like, you could use it as a team talk, but it's going to upset a couple, you know that. Where are you going to finish? Right, there we go. Okay, prediction, because it's Simon Little and he's my co-host. Where are Tarrant Point going to finish on that ladder? Got my top 5. St. John's, Engadine, you guys. I'll go 7th.
Okay.
You'll get ahead of Engadine. No, I've just done our team talk for you. You're stuffing her. Yeah, no. I'll give you 7th, mate. Tarrant Point to finish 7th. That's my other prediction.
Okay, well, that's good, because that just fires me up to prove you wrong, right? Absolutely. So we'll get that 5th spot, sneak in there. Some big wins on the board this year. You can feel it.
Simon, they're sneaking and they're stealing, mate. So this is just fine line, but yeah, I mean, look, I'm just being honest. I haven't got you in there. I'd love to see you get in there, but I haven't got you in my top 5.
Righto. No worries.
Now, it really hurt me to put you 7th too, to be honest with you, but I'll give you 7th.
I don't know where your allegiance stands, so yeah, it'll...
Man, I'm just being a neutral. So I'm head over heart, man. If it was going by heart, I'd give you 6th. All right, but I'm going ahead and give you 7th.
Yeah. Look, that's okay. You've made your predictions. Let's see how we roll throughout the season. Let's see how the game.
So you're actually going to snippet that out of the podcast, and you just have it on your phone.
Yeah.
Just play it before every game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But probably best I don't show up to round 1 now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, look, we'll go into it a bit more when it starts. So it's going to kick off on the 11th of April, Simon. That first game, you guys are up here at East Maitland.
It is, yeah. Yep. So
cool.
Big weekend.
And the big one to start, that's Cabramatta against St. John's, and that's going to be live streamed 6 o'clock Friday night with Bowlsy South Wales on their YouTube channel. So we'll look a bit more in depth in the draw once we get into it, folks. But that's DJ's bowl predictions. Simon's been very, very quiet.
I'm playing in the competition. There's no way I'm going to put any bold predictions out there and get
Who's going to be
fired up.
Simon, go on. Simon, go on.
Nah. No.
No chance. Right, okay, well, that was a bit of a look of around the greens, both what's happened, what's coming up, some results, some things to look forward to. I mean, it's been a little minutes since we had a coach's corner.
Yep.
Probably a pretty good time. All those elite championships coming up and things. Just to dive into coach's corner a bit. So, mate, let's get into that brain of yours. And what have you got for us this week that's relevant?
Okay, I think relevant-wise, we're going to touch on maybe shot selection. So what are the key fundamentals that to sort of think about? You stand on the green, you go, what shot do I play? You've got a couple of options. What are the sort of principles or key factors that would race through your mind to help you choose that most appropriate shot? And I thought, first up, we're going to have a look at the number of ends played or the number of ends remaining. So I think that's pretty key, because if it comes down to you've only got a couple of ends left, do you play the high-risk shot and the smaller percentage shot? Whereas if it's the start of the game, that's completely different atmosphere to a couple of ends left. So you guys are playing state championship fours. How do you think your back-end players would sort of take into consideration those number of ends remaining? And I think you definitely got to leave the riskier shots towards the end, like that risk-reward kind of balance or scales. You're trying to play a riskier shot, it could go bad. You could slice the jack and all of a sudden you're 2 or 3 down. You're maybe only 1 down at the head, but you get a full jack in the ditch and you've maybe got 3 or 4 back bowls waiting, but you don't get that jack full. Maybe you slice it and you lose a few extra shots. Is that worth that risk at that time? So I think the number of ends remaining does come into the picture whenever you're talking about shot selection. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 100%. Mate. It all comes down to the scoreboard pressure too, doesn't it? What's happening in the game at the time. Yeah. The other way to look at it is you take the chance early because there's less, you have more time to fight back if it goes wrong or if you don't get it. There's people who look at it that way too. It's all down to the individual player and confidence. I've always sort of been the one, like, there's obviously, if you put every bowler, if you set up a head and you put every bowler down there, 90% are going to see the same shot. Probably fair. It's just who's got the confidence, So that's probably the more common shot. But it doesn't mean that there's a wrong shot in there if you're playing it with confidence and it comes off. You know what I mean?
But over the many years of experience, and you do get this feel though when it boils down to the last 1 or 2 ends and the game's really close. Say the overall game's close. That pressure or that of the last remaining couple of ends, I have seen it many a time from the elite players that they do stop and think because of those only 1 or 2 ends left. Because if it goes wrong, you don't have that backup again there, and you could really blow it. So I think,
or you may not, on the other side, you may not get that opportunity again to make a relevant number to chip into that lead.
That's the balance of, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? So that's definitely something that comes in. And I think the elite players take that sort of step back when it comes to the last couple of ends. So definitely ends remain.
Certainly.
Yeah, somebody's going to state championships in a couple of weeks. So yeah, okay, we'll put you in that.
Rolling the jack.
Yeah. So that's number 1. Number 2, the current score, and that's what you touched on, DJ. There is definitely the current score, a ranked team. If it's a team of 12, 3 ranks, 4 ranks down in Victoria, it's all got to come into consideration. But the current score, if you're 20 shots behind on the big board and there's a few ends remaining, you've got to play those risky shots to make big numbers. Whereas if the game's tight, then those risky shots may not come in to play. And I think that is what the elite players like. They don't risk it all, but there's a time and a place that they believe they can take that riskier shot. And as you say, confidence comes into it as well. I think number 2 would be your score line. And I've seen it, I don't even say in just the lower grades, but yeah, you've seen it. I've seen it at our club at Tarrant Point with the lower grades that guys are just worried about their own rink and don't look at the big board. That's definitely something when it comes to shot selection that we should be thinking about, that it's not just about your rink, but how can this help the overall big board? And you're just not there to play the cowboy shots or get all the glory. It's how does that factor in the big board scoreboard? Are you going to risk it all just for a couple of extra shots when there's maybe a few ends remaining? Just get a few singles and all of a sudden that could make the difference to winning the big board rather than conceding a 2, conceding a 3 by playing a risky shot. So I think that's something that comes into the play whenever you should be thinking about what shot you're going to play. So number one, we've got ends remaining or ends played. And number two, current score, whether it be on your rank or on your team. Hopefully you're looking at the team rather than more so of your rank, but on the big board. But number three would be current game momentum, would be an aspect that you kind of think about. And we've all been there in games and matches where things just don't go your way and you don't get the rub of the green. You're playing probably some decent shots, but just not coming off the way you expect them to. And that factors into your shot selection as well. If you've got no real momentum at the moment, you'll be happy just to get a single and try and change that momentum, change the length, change what's happening. So I think, DJ, if you're on the state championship fours, guys are under the pump, been losing a few ends in a row, you're happy to take the single, wouldn't you?
Yep. Stop the bleed.
That would be number three in terms of shot selection that most of our elite would think about and go, okay, let's change the momentum, just win the end. Doesn't matter how many shots we pick up, even if they've got a chance to make multiples by sitting a ball out. I think the guys just end up just trying to draw another, pick one or two up, and that's it. So let's change the momentum. So that's number three. Number four would be risk versus reward. So ultimately, like the vast majority of your shot selection decisions, should consider this risk versus reward, kind of thesis or thinking. Kind of boils down to the more successful players they tend to play and have a sort of high reward of the low risk shots. So they play less risky shots, even though you see the elite players and you'd see Omar ditching bare jack or highlight reels, you'll see the really good shots. But I think ultimately the elite players, they just play those low risk shots more often and more, I'm going to say, consistent.
Low risk, high percentage.
Yeah, and that allows them then to take on those sort of 1 in 10, or for those players, maybe 1 in 3 or 4 shots that you play, or go a bare jack or try and kill it. Those kind of shots are the risky shots. And I think that's what the elite players do really well. And you might not see it across 21 end game. You might not see those low risk shots that they add to when they've got the last ball and they've just drawn for another. Those are the shots that they are 95, 90, 100% successful in, and is adding that extra shot when they're under no pressure, those low risk shots.
Yep.
And I think that's what the elite do really well. So something to think about whenever you're playing your pennants, playing the state championships, made it through the club championships. Let's think about those kind of things that I think the elite all process. So go back, we've got the number of ends remaining, number of ends played. That's one. Number two, the current scoreline, whether that be on your rink and on your overall big board as a team. Number three would be the momentum of the game. And number four would be that risk versus reward kind of thesis and the balance of those.
That's the most common ones too, mate. Just thinking about that second point there about the point of the game too. Just with the state championships coming up and the way they play it now, obviously with the 4 teams in the Section 3 games, you've nearly got to pay attention to the other game and the margins before you go into that game and work out. That adds. That's not a very common one, but it does come up.
It does, yeah.
Where you might be coming into a game knowing, right, I'm behind that lot, but if they're getting beat by them, how many more shots do I need to win by to be able to, so that can come into it as well. So there's lots of extra things too. It's a game of chess.
Yep. And that's the strategy side of our game, really, and that's what the elite do really well, and they have that in the back of their mind, so they know that that's part of their decision process whenever it comes to playing shots or making shots or getting other players to play shots as well. So those thirds and the skips deciding what the front end are going to do, what seconds are going to do, and that all comes into the fray.
Absolutely. Yeah, great insight in there, mate, with the coach's corner on how us at the elite level play things and look at things during the game. But moving on, mate, we've had Neil on here a couple of times, Neil Dalrymple, CEO of World Bowls. And Neil's saying about how much he's trying to promote the game worldwide, obviously with an ambition of getting into the Olympics maybe one day. It's good to see some posts from some of the, I suppose, lesser nations that you wouldn't have really thought of, affiliate nations. Japan's hosting a Japan Cup.
Yeah.
In the country as well. I've seen a couple of posts from Bowls Botswana, Bowls Kenya. So the game's certainly ramping up around the place. It's just good to see things like that coming up. You know, like I said, those lesser nations really promoting the sport, getting new participants into the sport, exposing new people to the sport. And then on another level, you're looking at some of the more elite countries. Looking at some extra paid administrative roles or paid professional roles within the sport. I know you've seen something from Bowl Scotland this week.
Yeah, so I've seen World Bowls put a post out that are reshared. Bowl Scotland posted they've got 2 positions up for recruitment, and like I spoke to you about it off air, and I think it's a real positive thing for our sport. So Bowl Scotland have a membership and administration officer position going, and they have a safeguarding and administration officer position going. And now those 2 positions, I just clicked on them to read a sort of bit more info as to what kind of person or what they're after in terms of filling those roles. And it did say that basically it's a full-time wage that they're for over in the UK that they're offering for these 2 positions. So that's really good to see that the sort of elite countries of our sport are actually then getting more positions that are paid. So if you pay people to come into those positions, you're going to get more qualified, more experienced people, rather than if it's a voluntary position, it's just going to be really somebody that has a little bit of experience that has the time to offer to those positions. So it's nice to see some full-time roles positions at the likes of Bowl Scotland, and I think that's really good for our sport to see that.
Absolutely, mate. The more professionals we get in there running the sport and helping develop the sport, the better for the sport, I suppose.
Yep. That might be a good guide for maybe some clubs, DJ, from over here in Australia, to take that mentality that not necessarily pay full-time wages, or clubs might be able to look at paying people for some positions. You know, we're not always lucky as we are at our clubs that we have full-time administrators that are paid, but maybe some of the smaller clubs out there that maybe it's something that maybe can they offer a little bit of part payment or something for trying to attract somebody to come and play bowls at their club, or do a little bit of administration that has that experience. So maybe that's something that clubs should be thinking about, rather than totally the volunteer route. That if you can offer some sort of financial benefit, then maybe you will get a sort of greater experienced person into that role and help develop your club.
Everything that's going to help the sport, mate, all for the better, all for it.
Well, mate, I think that'll do us for this week. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with another episode. We'll try and get a chat with some of the elite players like myself playing up at Ballina in the state championships, mate. So we might have a lead in either before, during, or after, depending on our schedules, how we go with that. Well, a couple of other events coming up too. We can look at World Indoors and stuff like that in Aberdeen coming up. So, yeah, folks, plenty more to talk about over the next couple of weeks. So tune in again in 2 weeks' time for episode 43. Simon and I will be back. In the meantime, keep that little disc on the inside.
And good luck on those greens.